Hello, welcome to the Big Guy Who Reviews. Why are my lights out? No, it's not because Storm is Sandy, shut them out. No, I turned them out on purpose because I want to talk about the Paranormal Activity franchise. Now, I'm not going to talk about the whole thing. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing in this video. I'm going to talk about just the first 3 films in this video, and the next video I'm doing the 4th film. So I saw the first 3 Paranormal Activities on DVD, and the first one was pretty good. I have to say it's not as scary as what I've heard. It is a little spooky to see some of these things happen. Doors moving by themselves, sounds, seeing people get pulled by nothing, or seeing Katie getting possessed by a demon and hearing her speak in a demon voice. But honestly, it wasn't that scary. I think it was scary enough to get me interested enough to want to see the second film. But let's look at the plot of this movie. So Katie and her boyfriend Mika move into a house together. It's a new house, and they experience some spooky stuff. So Mika decides to try to film it, to get some proof about it. And he's a real douchebag in the film. Although that's kind of a given for horror films. It's kind of like a requirement. You need a douchebag in a horror movie. And we find out that the demon that is haunting them has haunted Katie in the past. So this is the same demon. It just followed her from her childhood. And through the whole movie, I was like wondering, Mika was being really stupid when he got the Ouija board. Although what happens with the Ouija board is pretty cool. Seeing the pointer move by itself and then seeing flames go on it, that was pretty cool. And I was like wondering, why aren't these two getting an exorcist? Seriously. And then when they finally get the exorcist, they get an exorcist that happens, I think it's like the exorcist's assistant, the real exorcist is away, coincidentally. I think possibly because the demon creates some circumstances to make the exorcist be away, so an inexperienced guy could come to the place. This inexperienced guy, of course, acts like a coward and says he really can't do anything to stop this demon. He's not equipped to do anything, and he's too scared when he feels the demon's presence, so he just leaves, leaving them behind, and they feel hopeless. And overall, the movie is pretty good. I give the movie a 7.5 out of 10. The fact that it's an okay horror film, and it did get me interested enough to want to see the second one. I watched both the alternate ending that was on the DVD and the theatrical ending. I honestly like the theatrical ending more so than the alternate ending, because the alternate ending kind of closes it up too well, where the theatrical ending leaves it open and makes sense for the sequel. And let's go to the second one. Cut to the sequel. This sequel takes place, part of it, I believe, takes place like a month before the first one takes place, and the rest of it takes place like after, or parallel to the first one. And this one created some questions for me after seeing it. And this one follows mostly Katie's sister, Christy, more so than Katie herself. And this one, Christy and her husband, Daniel, have got married. She has a child, a boy. They first show her pregnant with the boy, Hunter, and then later on they do show that she has given birth to the baby. And she also has a stepdaughter, that is Daniel's daughter, Allie. And this movie is pretty good. How the surveillance, how the camera work is done. In the first film, it was all regular cameras, where this film is surveillance cameras, because they thought someone broke into their home, so they decided to get surveillance cameras to tape everything. catch whoever did this, whoever made a ruckus in their home. And the stuff gets really more spooky as you go along, just as it did in the first film. And my problem with the first film and the second film is the build-up is very slow. Even though it gets spookier and spookier and spookier, it's still very slow, and was hoping it would kind of build up a little quicker, or that the scares that would happen would be a little more intense. But the scares are pretty good. The ending does bring me some questions, as the last two films don't totally answer for me. Like, why exactly, I'm going to say some spoilers about the second film, why exactly did Christy have to die? I mean, there is a point in the movie where Christy does get possessed by the demon, just like Katie did, but then somehow her husband, Daniel, somehow gets the demon out of her. And I think it's at that point that two films are parallel. But what I like to know is, why didn't the demon possess both Christy and Katie? It didn't make sense why it seemed to have a stronger on Katie more than Christy, especially after you see the third film, because the third film confused me a little bit, even though it did answer a lot of questions. So the rating of this film is a 7 out of 10. I was a little scared from it, but not as much as I was with the first one. Go to Paranormal Activity 3. Now this one was scary. This one was a good one. This one I liked a lot. This one happens in 1988, when Christy and Katie are very young, and their mother Julie has just married a new guy, Dennis, and Dennis does wedding videos, and he decides to try to do a sex video with Julie. While doing the sex video, when they're about to have sex, an earthquake happens, some dust falls from the ceiling, and then when they look at the tape, they see the dust falling on some invisible specter, and that prompts Dennis to start putting a couple cameras around the house to try to film stuff and find out what's really going on. And this one, we do find out a little bit more about the demon. We find out the demon's name. His name is Toby. Maybe it's the name that the kids give him. And it looks like Christy has a much more stronger connection to Toby than Katie does, which brings again to my question about the second film. Why didn't Toby possess both Katie and Christy, and why was her husband able to get Toby out of Christy in the second film? I mean, it doesn't make sense. If Toby has a stronger connection to Christy than to Katie, then shouldn't the demon have a stronger hold on Christy when he possesses her? It doesn't make sense to me. Oh, I don't know, maybe because she's a mother, I guess. Yeah, because Christy identifies Toby as an imaginary friend. And according to the trailer, the demon is brought into our world because the girls were playing Bloody Mary in the bathroom. But we find out in the movie that's actually not that. One of the family members has made a bargain with the demon. I'm not going to say which one. I think this is definitely one film people should watch. Of all the 30 films, this is definitely the scariest. Definitely, if I had a favorite of this franchise, it would be this one. So yeah, I really did like this one a lot. It was very scary. As far as questions, there's not much other questions I have aside from the ones I've already mentioned. I mean, I do have some other questions about the fourth film when I get to that one. So this one I will give a 9.5 out of 10. If I saw this movie in the theaters, I probably would have thought that this one was one of the best films of 2011. And probably this would be a horror film I could probably watch over and over again, maybe. Where a film like Sinister I couldn't really watch more than once. That film was definitely one of my favorite films for 2012. I really did like a lot of the scares in this, like the demon in the walking under a sheet, and then Katie, mostly Christy talking to the demon, and that's pretty much all I want to talk about with the first three Paranormal Activities.